Professor Emeritus, AIIMS, New Delhi, Dr. Ashwin Dalal, Senior Staff Scientist, BRIC CDFT, Hyderabad, to join the dignitaries on dais. To begin with, may I request Secretary, Department of Biotechnology, Dr. Rajesh S. Gokhale, to formally welcome the Honorable Minister with a potted plant and a shawl, representing our deep respect and gratitude for his visionary leadership. May I now request Dr. Suchita Ninave, Senior Advisor and Scientist at DBT, to formally welcome Secretary, Department of Biotechnology, Dr. Rajesh S. Gokhale. I again request Dr. Suchita Ninave, Senior Advisor and Scientist at DBT, to present a welcome token to Dr. Madhulika Kabra, Professor Emeritus, AIIMS, New Delhi. Now I invite Dr. Richi V. Mahajan, Scientist DBT, to present a welcome token to Dr. Ashwin Dalal, Senior Staff Scientist, BRIC CDFT. I request Dr. Richi V. Mahajan to kindly formally welcome Dr. Suchita Ninave, Senior Advisor and Scientist at DBT. May I now invite our esteemed dignitaries to light the ceremonial lamp, which symbolizes enlightenment and knowledge, as we commence to celebrate the success of the UMID initiative. May this gathering foster meaningful dialogue, spur innovative research, and encourage collaborative efforts aimed at improving public health outcomes and enhancing community well-being.
Saraswati Bhagavati Niseshadhyapaka.
I invite Dr. Suchita Ninave, Senior Advisor and Scientist at DBT, to formally welcome the August gathering.
आदरणीय माननीय मंत्री जी, डीबीटी सचिव और आप सभी को मेरा नमस्कार. Very good morning to all. It is my great pleasure to welcome you all to this very special occasion, the dedication of the UMID network to the nation. On behalf of the Department of Biotechnology, I express my sincere gratitude to our Honorable Minister, Dr. Jitendra Singh ji, for sparing his valuable time to grace this occasion. Sir, you have always encouraged transformative scientific initiatives for the nation, and UMID is one such initiative where science is directly touching the public lives. I also welcome Dr. Rajesh S. Gokhale, Secretary DBT and DG BRIC, whose leadership continuously inspires us to strengthen science-driven healthcare for the people of our nation. also extend my special welcome to Dr. Madhulika Kabra and Dr. Ashwin Dalal for their invaluable contributions and continuous efforts in implementation of the UMID program. I welcome all the government officials, NHM representatives, heads of institutions, members of the UMID network, medical and scientific fraternity, media personnel, my colleagues from DBT, and all present here and through online mode. Your presence reflects our collective national commitment towards improving genetic healthcare in India. हम सभी जानते हैं कि जेनेटिक डिसऑर्डर्स अक्सर वर्षों तक अनडायग्नोस्ड रह जाते हैं या उनका डायग्नोसिस बहुत देर से होता है, और जब डायग्नोसिस हो भी जाता है तो उसके बाद कई जेनेटिक डिसऑर्डर में ट्रीटमेंट या तो उपलब्ध नहीं है या फिर इतना कॉस्टली होता है कि सामान्य परिवारों के लिए उसे अफोर्ड करना बहुत कठिन हो जाता है। इसका प्रभाव केवल पेशेंट्स पर नहीं बल्कि पूरे परिवार पर पड़ता है, इमोशनली, मेडिकली एंड फाइनेंशियली। Ultimately, the effective management of rare disorders relies heavily on prevention. Through UMID, we have attempted to address these ground-level issues by integrating maternal and newborn screening, advanced genetic diagnosis, counseling, clinicians training, and public health outreach under one coordinated national framework. उम्मीद इनिशिएटिव का उद्देश्य है साइंस फॉर सोसाइटी एंड साइंस फॉर पब्लिक गुड। यह पहल हमारे माननीय प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी के विजन सबका साथ सबका विकास की भावना को भी साकार करती है, जहां एडवांस साइंस का लाभ समाज के हर वर्ग और हर परिवार तक पहुंचे। We have completed phase 1 projects and the encouraging achievements of phase 1 have now enabled expansion of this initiative across the country, covering 22 states and UTs. This reflects the vision of preventive, predictive, and inclusive healthcare, strongly aligned with the vision of Viksit Bharat 2047 of our country. I sincerely acknowledge the tireless efforts of all scientists, clinicians, healthcare workers, counselors, partner institutions, and program teams whose dedication has made this national initiative possible. Before I conclude, I would like to say this from my heart. UMID is not just the name of a program. UMID is the hope of parents waiting for answers. UMID is the hope of newborns deserving healthy lives. UMID is the hope of early intervention, dignity, and care. And UMID is the hope of building a healthier India for generations to come. For many families, the journey of a rare and inherited disorder begins with uncertainty, fear, and helplessness. Through initiatives like UMID, we aspire to replace that fear with awareness, that uncertainty with diagnosis, and that helplessness with hope. उम्मीद से उम्मीद है. Once again, I extend my warm welcome to all of you and thank you for being part of this national mission. Thank you very much and Jai Hind.
Thank you, ma'am, for your gracious welcome and for setting the tone for today's program. So, as mentioned by ma'am, UMID is a flagship program of the department focusing on management and prevention of genetic disorders by facilitating research into genetic diseases, building resources, and raising public awareness. Today's event celebrates the achievements of phase 1 of this initiative and its transition to phase 2. I request Dr. Ashwin Dalal, Senior Staff Scientist, BRICS CDFT, to present an overview of the UMID initiative.
And I'll just take you through how this UMID program came into being. What was the need of such a program for our country? So if we look at the genetic diseases or rare diseases, then of the 350 million patients worldwide with these rare genetic diseases, almost 70 million or 7 crore patients are in India itself. And so we really cannot call these genetic diseases as rare when 7 crore of the Indians are affected by these disorders, of which almost 80% are genetic and many of them are preventable. And in absence of therapy where only 5% of these diseases have some FDA approved drug, there was a need for some preventive strategy to be taken up. And if you look at worldwide, this is not only a India problem, it is a worldwide problem, and the diagnostic odyssey of this patient extends from 3, 4 to 5 years to 6 years until they get a diagnosis. So a lot of problems were existing for the rare disorders, especially lack of epidemiological data. We did not know how many patients of different diseases are there in our country. And in absence of even a definition for a rare disease to call a disease as rare, and limited resources allocated to the rare diseases. So there was a need for looking at these rare diseases from preventive strategy and at the grassroots levels. And so the financial burden that Dr. Sucheta spoke just now is both on the families as well as on the government, and the emotional and social toll also takes a lot of these families. So DBT UMID program was initiated as an era of taking the diagnostic approach, the screening approach to the grassroots level, to the common man, and that too through different ways. That is why we named it as the unique methods in management of inherited disorders. The vision was to have a national initiative led by Department of Biotechnology to tackle the inherited genetic disorders, and this touches many of the sustainable developmental goals like the good health, quality education, innovation and partnership. So the main areas in which the UMID was conceived was basically, first was the Nidan Kendras. Nidan Kendras are diagnostic centers which are being developed for providing genetic testing, counseling, prenatal diagnosis at public hospitals, mainly at the district hospitals and the medical colleges. The second very important aspect was the aspirational district program. So Government of India has identified 115 districts as aspirational districts, and the UMID program takes the outreach to these underprivileged regions for screening pregnant women for a common disease, that is beta thalassemia, and newborns for 5 common disorders, easily treatable disorders if they are diagnosed early. And the third aspect was the training center where doctors from medical colleges were trained for 6 months, and then they went back to their own college and then wrote for establishing Nidan Kendras. So this was the whole framework under which the UMID program was started. And Dr. Madhulika will take us through the successes that have been achieved over the past few years. Thank you.
Good morning, namaskar. Respected dignitaries on the dais, off the dais, all the colleagues, friends, and everyone who has gathered here. So first of all, I would like to thank Department of Biotechnology for giving me this opportunity to present the achievements of UMID program on behalf of all the investigators who have participated in this unique program. And also I would like to thank Dr. Richi for providing me the material for this presentation. So as Ashwin just said, that there were three components of this particular program. The first component being the Nidan Kendras. He has already explained that what was the mandate for the Nidan Kendras. And the important thing which I would like to emphasize here is that initially these are 5 Nidan Kendras. You can see on the map and the names written that they are there. So the important thing here is that to support the diagnosis, screening, and to some extent management, follow-up and referrals, these Nidan Kendras are really important for the implementation of rare disease policy because they are in the care pathways for the patients and families who are identified under rare disease policy. And then this is an important component of the National Rare Disease Policy as of now. So you can see in this particular slide the impact summary of the Nidan Kendras, which were in the phase 1. You can say around 88,000 individuals were screened, about 10,000 genetic diagnoses were made, and about 2,500 confirmatory prenatal tests were done. And the graph down shows the numbers of these cases and diagnoses in different centers. So just to show a patient journey, this is just from one Nidan Kendra where they identified a 6-month-old child with developmental delay and skin rashes and was finally identified to have biotinidase deficiency at 6 months of age. Nonetheless, after starting treatment, the child did very well. And as a part of, and this is a part of secondary prevention, if you detect the disease and then treat it. And then another example is detection of unaffected fetus in a couple who both of them were beta thalassemia carriers. So these are the examples of the activities which were done under Nidan Kendras, and these are just 2 examples, and you can see that in number of Nidan Kendras, many such families got benefited. The second component was aspirational district, a very, very unique idea of the DBT to give services to the places where they are not easily available. So this was actually implementation research kind of a thing to detect the feasibility of community genetic services. And in the first phase, there were 9 aspirational districts across 6 states. And you can see the name of the aspirational district in the map on the left side. So under the aspirational district initiatives, the institutions which were identified, they had to choose aspirational district which is near if they have the facilities to conduct the activity which came under the aspirational district initiative. And this included antenatal screening primarily for hemoglobinopathies and high-risk factors for other genetic disorders, newborn screening for 5 disorders and externally visible birth defects, counseling services, and training of the paramedical workers. So newborn screening, you all know, is early detection and it saves life. And as I just said, there were 5 disorders which were included in the heel prick test by using the dried blood spot and externally visible birth defects. And the healthcare workers there were trained to collect the dried blood spot. It took a little time, but then later on it became very easy. So the important thing is that early diagnosis and treatment avoided metabolic crisis, mortality, and further long sequelae which may happen due to these disorders. The other important thing which we need to know about the impact of the aspirational district outreach. So as I said, 9 aspirational districts in 6 states, and over 94,000 pregnant women and over 60,000 newborns were screened for preventable genetic disorders. And in addition, because of the training of healthcare workers there and the ASHA workers, that was an additional gain to take this program further. So the impact of this, as you can see, 37 births with the hemoglobin disorders were prevented. More than 350 children diagnosed early with treatable conditions, and about 190 carrier couples were identified and counseled to take their reproductive decisions. So again, few success stories of secondary prevention from the experience of one of the aspirational district. You can see a child who was identified on day 2 of having congenital hypothyroidism due to a high TSH was treated successfully, and the child is doing exceptionally well, absolutely developmentally normal. And as just compared to the Nidan Kendra diagnosis, where the diagnosis was made at 6 months of age, this another baby was diagnosed at day 3 of life with biotinidase deficiency and doing very well in treatment. And this, I think, is a very, very important story which I have just put here, that this was a couple with previous childhood beta thalassemia, identified due to being high risk. Prenatal testing was offered and the fetus was unaffected. So that was a very happy story for the family. But another important thing was that the fetus was totally HLA matched with their affected children, and they were able to take the bone marrow of this particular baby who was born, and the child received hematopoietic stem cell transplantation also. So again, just few stories from one aspirational district. There are many, many more in multiple aspirational districts. The component 3 was training workforce, and you can see there were multiple centers who were training centers. More than 60 faculty were trained, and this had a multiplier effect because trained faculty establishing diagnosis services, departments, and mentoring students and strengthening institutions, and this is going on. Many of these faculty I saw are here also in the gathering. The details of all this information which I have given is available with the booklet which will be released today. So the curriculum of these trainees included molecular genetics, biochemical genetics, cytogenetics, and clinical genetics. And additionally, an important point which I would like to emphasize, that in parallel there was hand-holding of the trainees to build projects for Nidan Kendras, other projects, and build services in their parent institutions so that these become a part of routine care services. So another important thing is the community awareness, and as I already told you, training was there at all levels. So this was by using leaflets and flip books, etc., grassroots training, and also identifying champions in the community. So with the successful implementation of the phase 1, phase 2 has already been implemented, and we have 25 new Nidan Kendras, 22 new aspirational districts, and 3 additional training centers which have already been sanctioned money, and they are working. And then looking ahead is phase 3 vision, where there is universal integration, digital ecosystems to manage data, national guidelines for these disorders, and it is anticipated that 100+ aspirational districts will be included in phase 3. So UMID started as a project, it became a program, and now it's a national vision for genetic health care. So UMID repositions clinical genetics as a core public health need, not a fringe specialty. And through various activities, it has led to a national platform for equity, access, and innovation in genetic health care. So to summarize, what UMID has done, building a uniform feasible model for a community genetic service program, a unique initiative of DBT designed to implement the program, so kind of implementation research, aligning perfectly with the national initiatives like NPRD 21, acceptability and participation of the aspirational district health force, administration and families was motivating and gratifying, and the success of phase 1 has led to phase 2 and phase 3. And there's a move towards integration with existing healthcare programs with advocacy. I would like to acknowledge Department of Biotechnology on behalf of the whole team of investigators for giving us the opportunity to participate in this unique program. Healthcare force at the participating institutions, Nidan Kendras and aspirational districts, local administration at districts and states, and very importantly, families, couples, and babies with very high acceptance rate for the program, and Ministry of Health and Family Welfare for giving so much importance to the UMID program, particularly the Nidan Kendras, for integrating it with the national policy for rare diseases. Thank you very much.
I extend sincere thanks to Dr. Ashwin Dalal and Dr. Kabra for highlighting the robust research framework created under this initiative and for the inspiring insights into the successful journey of the UMID initiative. I now invite Secretary DBT, Dr. Rajesh S. Gokhale, to kindly address the gathering.
Namaskar and a very good morning to all of you. Honorable Minister for Science and Technology, Dr. Jitendra Singh Ji, Dr. Suchita Ninave, Department of Biotechnology, Scientist H, other distinguished scientists and clinicians, academicians, Dr. Ashwin Dalal and Dr. Kabra, who just now you gave a very lucid presentations of it, media friends, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's a matter of immense pride and privilege for me to be present here on the important occasion of dedication of UMID network to the nation. First of all, I must extend my sincere gratitude to Honorable Minister. Actually, he's been very supportive for various activities, and his purpose and his thought processes always strengthens department's progress in terms of taking biotechnology and genomics ecosystem forward. This is a very, very important word, UMMID, actually. I thought, it's been very rightly put together. This clip, So the word UMMID is actually a very nice word for what has been done with the department's help, if you really look at. It's a kind of the extraordinary way in which you identify very early in your newborn babies actually that what are the potential of how one can identify genetic disorders and be able to take forward. And I think this unprecedented opportunity that you provide as an UMMID to children who are born with these disorders to be able to detect early and manage their future public health ways is kind of absolutely amazing things. As you have heard right now, I mean, the program is kind of a pilot project actually, because it's been done in a few centers and now in the second phase expanded to even larger centers. But it needs to have a countrywide presence actually to be given, because that's when the real value will come about it. And therefore you need collaborations, partnerships across departments, ministries, and across various ecosystems to take care of this. I think if you really look at India's genetic diversity, it is amazing and extraordinary. And unique demographic and social factors have given us some inherited disorders which are actually quite amplified in the various ecosystems. Now, this diversity provides an unprecedented opportunity for scientific discoveries and for translational research. Of course, it provides a burden as well in terms of healthcare perspective, if you really look at. But if you understand the scientific translational research perspective, it's an enormous and huge opportunity for us to identify these mutations, develop various scientific programs and opportunities. And UMMID is one such program, because this is a public health kind of a program where people are kind of developing ways of looking at how the public health prevalence can be minimized and decreased, actually, one through predictable analysis. There are other such similar programs where we are trying to look at rare genetic disorders in terms of unknown mutations that can be identified, or similarly other programs of Genome India program, which actually provided the baseline for the countries to understand various disorders, how genetically mapping can be done in terms of population-based studies. I think the UMMID network specialized centers across the country have strengthened the capacity for genetic testing, prenatal diagnostics and counseling services. And this provides a capability to identification of inheriting disorders, helping families and make informed healthcare decisions. As been talked about by Dr. Madhulika, actually there are 5 Nidan Kendras, 7 outreach centers and 6 clinical genetic centers across the country in the first phase. And now this is being expanded to other centers as well. I think about 2.75 lakh women and children have been, who would not have got this opportunity have been screened actually. So it's an amazing impact if you really look at from the point of view of, without this program, these people would have remained elusively remaining just like this and would not have actually got capability to look at it. So there are, I think in the other sectors, the Department of Biotechnology is working, which is through the BioE3 policy, which department actually announced. Therefore, precision biotherapeutics was identified as a very specific thematic area for future growth of the Viksit Bharat attainment, and which requires a diagnosis of treatable congenital metabolic disorders, various hypothyroidism, hyperplasia, various other diseases that can actually be cured through interventions once you start to know what are the diseases available, which are the mutations there, and then one can develop various gene therapy programs and cell and gene therapy programs, as well as various metabolic nutritional status can be developed and monitored. I think these kind of programs should require a large coordinated nationwide expansion, and UMMID Phase 2 program has already have done this, as Ashwin talked about, in 22 states now in union territories, and such 70 UMMID programs, which includes 39 Nidan Kendras, 31 aspirational districts, and 9 training centers provides genomics-driven healthcare preparedness as a particular future goals of our country's progress. I think finally I would like to congratulate all the institutions, clinicians, researchers, stakeholders associated with the UMID initiative. Also congratulate DBT officers who have developed these programs and taken forward these activities. I think the launch of UMID dashboard and UMID compendium also will be a milestone for improving accessibility and transmissibility as well as knowledge dissemination, which is very important to, because centers and places where this has not reached, people can learn from these and can adapt to these technologies and all. I think the Department of Biotechnology, lastly, I will say, is committed to supporting initiatives that combine scientific excellence, translational programs, social impact, as well as public responsibilities, which are very important from perspective to look at. I think I again thank the guidance of Honorable Minister. Sir, we remain committed to your vision and your perspective of how India should, through SNT, create a completely new ecosystem in the country and leverage biotechnology for societal benefit for building a healthier, genomics-empowered India. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your inspiring words and continuing to energize and guide the department, nurturing and promoting a culture of excellence within the research ecosystem. For the next segment, we have a short video on UMID initiative. Technical team to play the video, please.
None of the patients, all the images added to the video, they are AI generated, and these are not real patients. Yeah, yes, illustration is real.
India is home to over 1.43 billion people. Genetic research provides valuable insights into the origins and causes of various diseases and disorders.
The human genome, composed of approximately 20,000 functional genes, serves as the blueprint for producing all proteins.
सुबह तो सारे चेक किए वहाँ भी क्यों नहीं आ रहा?
उन्होंने HDMI का जैक
हाँ मैम ये हमारा ये है
Kindly bear with us till we resolve the technical glitches. There is some issue with.
Sir, we checked it in the morning. There's some loose connection over there.
serves as the blueprint for producing all proteins. Genetic disorders can arise from mutations in single or multiple genes, interactions between genetic factors, and environmental influences or chromosomal damage. The Government of India, through Department of Biotechnology, has launched an initiative called Unique Methods in Management and Treatment of Inherited Disorders, UMID, to tackle inherited genetic diseases. UMID seeks to prevent and treat inherited genetic
Considering the technical glitches, we move on to the next segment. We can get back to the video later on. So for the next segment, I request Honorable Minister Dr. Jitendra Singh Ji and dignitaries on the dais for unveiling of the UMID Compendium, please. May I also invite Mrs. Ekta Bishnoi, JS Admin, Department of Biotechnology, Dr. Ullas Kolthor, Director BRICS CDFT, Dr. Dinesh Gupta, ICGP New Delhi, Dr. Richi V. Mahajan, and Dr. Vivek to kindly join the dignitaries on dais, please. Most Honorable Minister, sir, to formally launch the UMID dashboard.
The human genome, composed of approximately 20,000 functional genes, serves as the blueprint for producing all proteins. Genetic disorders can arise from mutations in single or multiple genes, interactions between genetic factors, and environmental influences or chromosomal damage. India is home to over 1.43 billion people. Genetic research provides valuable insights into the origins and causes of various diseases and disorders. The human genome, composed of approximately 20,000 functional genes, serves as the blueprint for producing all proteins. Genetic disorders can arise from mutations in single or multiple genes, interactions between genetic factors, and environmental influences or chromosomal damage. The Government of India, through Department of Biotechnology, has launched an initiative called Unique Methods in Management and Treatment of Inherited Disorders, UMMID, to tackle inherited genetic diseases. UMMID seeks to prevent and treat inherited genetic disorders, ushering in a new era of precision medicine in India.
Our aim, since conceptualizing the UMID initiative, is clear, that is to bridge the gap between complex genetic research and direct patient care. Through UMID, we have integrated genetic screening, diagnosis, and training for clinicians directly under one umbrella. Now expanding nationwide, UMID marks a vital step towards a future of preventive genetic healthcare.
DBT UMMID initiative shifts the focus of healthcare from top-down to early detection in the first trimester, especially for maternal health. The UMMID initiative is a distinctive effort to address the burden of genetic disorders in the country through establishment of three components complementing each other: Nidan Kendras, outreach to aspirational districts, and training centers for capacity building. The Nidan Kendras have been set up to enable individuals from remote areas to access top-notch medical services all in one place. The second UMMID component, outreach to aspirational districts for antenatal and newborn screening program, is primarily focused on conducting screening for potentially treatable conditions in newborns and pregnant women. The third component of the program are the training centers that are involved in providing training to the in-service clinicians. Since its pilot launch in 2020, the 5 Nidan Kendras have provided screening services to more than 60,000 individuals and identified genetic abnormalities in over 13,500 cases. The outreach centers have provided screening to more than 130,000 pregnant women and 77,000 newborn babies in 9 aspirational districts. This has resulted in prevention of more than 40 hemoglobinopathy affected births and early diagnosis of more than 200 babies with various treatable genetic disorders. More than 60 faculties from government hospitals have been trained. Pan-India expansion of UMID will cover 22 states and union territories through establishment of around 70 UMID components with the target screening of more than 6 lakh individuals in the next 3 years.
Not only have we been able to provide comprehensive clinical care to our patients, we are also now able to provide comprehensive training to all our students.
We have established around 14 mutations in thalassemia ANC patients, as well as we are doing the prenatal diagnosis also.
We are able to counsel the patients to undergo genetic diagnostics to prevent a nurture of a genetically abnormal child.
The program has been instrumental in setting up of the infrastructure, generating resources, and strengthening capacity building in government setups for combating the burden of genetic disorders in the country.
Through the UMID initiative, Department of Biotechnology is building a nationwide ecosystem for early diagnosis, genetic counseling, and management of inherited disorders. By strengthening Nidan Kendras and promoting newborn prenatal screening, UMID is bringing affordable genomics healthcare closer to families across India.
The department envisages to create a strong ecosystem that will be the foundation for enabling a national screening program for genetic disorders to reduce disease burden of rare disorders to 50% for Viksit Bharat 2047.
A healthy and a developed India can only be built when every child gets timely health care and the opportunity to lead a healthy life. And to that extent, the UMID program of the Department of Biotechnology is a significant step towards this vision. Through this flagship initiative, inspired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, facilities for newborn screening, for genetic diagnosis, and for counseling are being strengthened across the country to support families affected by inherited and rare genetic disorders. By combining science, innovation, and public health, the UMID program is indeed helping in early detection and timely intervention, thereby reducing the burden of disease and improving the lives of thousands of children and families across the country. UMID has turned into a real UMID, reflecting the government's commitment to affordable health care, to scientific advancement, and to the vision of Viksit Bharat.
To kindly address the gathering, please.
Secretary, Department of Biotechnology and DG BRIC, Dr. Rajesh Gokhale, Dr. Dinanve, Dr. Kabra, Dr. Dalal, senior members of the fraternity, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, I must congratulate the Department of Biotechnology and Dr. Rajesh and Dr. Dinanve, who has been, Dr. Sita has been very passionately dedicated to this program. It's very close to her heart, so very thoughtfully and imaginatively conceived unique methods of management of inherited disorders. The acronym also fits into the name quite well, unlike many other acronyms doing the rounds these days. And I also congratulate them for having very diligently, painstakingly brought together the partner institutions, the clinicians, the healthcare workers to contribute to this national mission. So as we all know, over the last 12 years, the Modi government's focus and priority has been on healthcare, which is, I would, in my way say, defined by 3 A's: affordable, accessible, and available. And at the same time, there has been also emphasis on early detection and wellness, which is borne out by the fact that for the first time this government came out with the concept of having wellness centers, which means you don't have to visit a consultant or a clinician only when you fall sick. And wellness certainly does not mean only the absence of disease, which is in fact the philosophy carrying the spirit of Hippocrates. So we have wellness centers across the country set up. And finally, the community-based healthcare, where we have started programs of mass screening in several of the non-communicable diseases, etc. And at the same time, to make this ecosystem wholesome, you have Ayushman Bharat, I think one of the best health insurance schemes across the world, because nowhere in the world a health insurance scheme allows you to get yourself registered even for a pre-existing disease. Even if you fall sick, you have, for example, a heart attack, and you go to the insurance for your premium, they would find some excuse to prove that you had a heart disease which you had possibly not disclosed. So for the first time, this is such a friendly insurance scheme. And then you have the Jan Aushadhi programs, Jan Aushadhi Kendras, and you have the NCD programs. But why I'm trying to recall that is that the story is different over here when we talk of the inherent genetic disorders. And inherent genetic disorders, as they have been popularly referred to, sometimes they are also known as rare disorders, have actually suffered from negligence and lack of priority because of default. And as a clinician, I'll tell you how. In your undergraduate medicine course, you are not taught much about it, because they know there won't be a question related to this, because they have all these subjects, and one of the subjects is medicine, which covers this part. Then in post-graduation, you may have a small short note in one of the theory papers. So Kabra is there, she'll bear me out. And that too only for those who do MD medicine, not for other subjects. You may have a small short note. So obviously, it doesn't find a place in the guest papers of the coaching centers, which have become notorious of late. And therefore, the students don't actually devote much time and priority to reading of these diseases. Then, later on, as far as the health practice is concerned, the very fact that the disease is not that common, and in a country as vast as India with 1.4 billion population, and also trying to make a headway in spite of all the resource deficits, the obvious priority will go to the diseases which are happening in a more rampant way. Whether it's the infectious disease, of course, which have been there for almost centuries now, or over the last half a century, the non-communicable disease, whether the type 2 diabetes mellitus or coronary heart disease, and now, of course, cancers in the last few years. So most of the attention, most of the resources, most of the money, and most of the research gets dedicated to that. So as I said, by default, this sector gets little ignored. But the irony is that once it does appear in any child or any individual, the ordeal starts right from the beginning of the first symptom of the disease. Because at the outset, to establish a diagnosis is not easy, not always easily available, if available, not easily affordable. So as I counted the 3 A's, all the 3 A's get defied. It's neither accessible that easily, not affordable, not available everywhere. Then after a lot of hardship, the diagnosis does get established. The treatment part is not easily affordable, also not accessible. In fact, only 3 years back, one of the doctors retired from the health services as one of the directors. And soon after his retirement, his daughter was detected having what is known as Niemann-Pick disease. Dr. Kabra may be more familiar. It's a disorder which leads to the inappropriate accumulation of lipids and fats, etc. in all sorts of organs, whether it's spleen, liver, and therefore, of course, the prognosis is bad. And we approached the ICMR, they did their best. Then they said the disease is not part of the list which is there with the health department for reimbursement. The medicine was not easily available. Once available, it was very costly. And I remember Alka Sharma was there. I entrusted this to her. I said, this is a problem you can handle, because she was dealing with ICMR. Now, incidentally, she's herself gone to ICMR. And still, they are struggling to make it a part of the... So, from that point of view, if the Department of Biotechnology has taken the courage to launch this program, it is indeed a very bold and an appreciable step, because you have tried to tread on a path which is not very commonly tread. And the disease, of course, is very rare in the sense that in the epidemiology charts, it doesn't figure anywhere. It may not be even in millions. So, but yes, if you have to take the practice of healthcare not only as a clinical instrument, but also as a part of sensitive care of the citizen, then even if it is only one in millions, you are expected to, and you are duty bound to provide them the similar kind of attention. And the sufferer is also entitled to similar kind of attention which another citizen with a more common disease is entitled. So from that point of view, from that spirit, I think this is an initiative which should be taken like that. That's why in that message, what they sent to me, I always have the habit of not reading what the secretary writes for me. So I added that this UMID has generated an UMID. So I'm sure others will also take up a cue, because this is not something which can be done by government alone. We need to have also partners from the private sector for the sheer magnitude of the problem. But as I said, this initiative by DBT is appreciable. That is at least given us cue that look here, because you have in plenty programs for malaria, programs for tuberculosis, programs for diabetes. You also have camps, but very few are indulging into this. And of course, it's not easy screening such a huge population and then doing the genetic diagnosis, and out of thousands and millions you might pick up only one. So it's not resource friendly as well. But nevertheless, the framework that they have constituted, I was just going through that book, with the beginning from the genetic diagnosis to the prenatal screening, the genetic counseling, and then capacity building for clinicians as well, because I think the clinicians also need to be educated, and new information is arriving each day as far as these diseases are concerned. And finally, the community outreach. For that, Dr. Cheta also needs to be complemented. You have started from aspirational districts, good. I don't know why, because other districts may be equally affected as well. But nevertheless, you had to start from somewhere, so you started from aspirational districts. Because aspirational districts, because when this program was being drafted as a part of the team along with Mr. Amitabh Kant and all, it's determined by 41 indices, out of which one is health indices. And that health indices does not necessarily reflect the rare inherited disorders, rather reflects the more prevalent disorders. But anyhow, though
scientifically they may not be much of a correlation, but since you had to, and they are not backward districts also. Remember, that's why the name was given aspiration. You might have, you may be, given district may be number one in the state, in that respective state, or even nationally in the education sector, but maybe number last or rank last in the health. So it was a kind of a competitive dashboard done so that they compete. So this is not scientific or mathematical correlation, but you had to start from somewhere, so you started from 30 aspirational districts. It's a good idea. And you have so far also benefited 3 lakh individuals, as was being mentioned. And I think overall, for us, the professionals and the clinicians, in addition to training ourselves for these rare genetic disorders, we would also be kind of accustoming ourselves, customizing ourselves, or also conditioning ourselves to the future genre of medicine, which is going to be genetic-based or gene-based, even for the other diseases. For example, if you have a heart disease, a common, similar kind of a diagnosis profile, or even if you have a diabetes with a similar clinical profile, 2 individuals may be then capable of or may be entitled to 2 different prescriptions. So that is what is called the precision medicine or the genome health care, which we are gradually entering into. So this UMID, on the one hand, will open our vistas for these rare disorders, and at the same time also train us for the future genome-based prescription era in the management of medical diseases. And therefore, as this UMID enters phase 2 today, I wish Dr. Rajesh, Dr. Sucheta, her team, that you possibly could come out with a public health genetics model, which would not remain confined only for hair health diseases, but it could also, because in other diseases as well, we are now into gene sequencing, identifying, and gene-related remedies, both at the preventive level as well as the therapeutic level. So the 2 new exciting openings which I visualize for tomorrow is the genetic medicine and B is the nuclear medicine. And they may be the answer to many of the disorders besides the rare disorders as well. So we are also gradually initiating our clinical minds into that era. So that is another UMID for all the professionals like me and others. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your encouraging words. Your invaluable guidance remains a constant source of inspiration for all of us, reaffirming our collective resolve to advance research and innovation in pursuit of national goals and aspirations. I now request Dr. Richi V. Mahajan, Scientist DBT, to present the vote of thanks.
It is my proud privilege to propose the vote of thanks on this occasion. At the outset, I express our deepest gratitude to Honorable Minister of Science and Technology, Independent Charge, Dr. Jitendra Singh Ji, for graciously joining us today and for dedicating the UMID network to the nation. Sir, your visionary leadership and unwavering support towards strengthening India's biotechnology and healthcare ecosystem continue to inspire the scientific community. Your encouragement for translational research and citizen-centric healthcare initiatives have been instrumental in advancing the programs such as UMID. I extend sincere thanks to Dr. Rajesh S. Gokhale, Secretary DBT, and DG BRIC for his valuable and steadfast guidance in strengthening the genomics and precision medicine initiatives in the country. We are especially grateful to Dr. Suchita Nenave, Senior Advisor, DBT. Her unwavering commitment, strategic guidance, and persistent efforts have been instrumental in shaping UMID into a transformative national initiative. I also wish to acknowledge all the partner institutions, clinicians, researchers, scientists, healthcare workers, and implementing agencies whose dedicated efforts have transformed the vision of UMID into a meaningful national movement for diagnosis, counseling, and management of rare and genetic disorders. Today's launch of UMID Compendium and UMID Dashboard marks another important milestone in strengthening the evidence-based healthcare and expanding the reach of genetic services in India. We sincerely thank Dr. Madhulika Kabra, Dr. Ashwin Dalal, and Dr. Dinesh Gupta for stitching these achievements. My heartfelt thanks to the organizer, especially the teams from IBDC RCB and BRICS CDFD, and support staff whose meticulously planning and tireless efforts ensured the successful conduct of the program. I would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to all the distinguished guests, eminent experts, representatives from academia, healthcare institutions, partner organizations, my colleagues from DBT, IBRIC, and IBRIC directors, and my colleagues from all other ministries who have graced this occasion with their presence. Your participation and continuous engagement strengthen our collective resolve towards improving healthcare outcomes through genomics and precision medicine. We also sincerely thank our friends from media and their presence in support in amplifying the message and impact of UMID initiative to the wider audience. With gratitude to everyone present here and participants online, I again thank everyone for making this occasion a memorable and a meaningful one. Thank you all. Jai Hind. With the conclusion of this program, the lunch has been organized in the foyer area.